All right, welcome everybody to Agent Investor, the only show, the only brand that helps real estate agents get off the real estate roller coaster by helping them not only invest in real estate, but use their time the right way. And today I'm going to be specifically focusing on how agents should use their time. We're at the end of 2024 right now, but into 2025 and beyond. I'm going to talk specifically today about 10 kind of surprising and less talked about reasons why agents need listings, and how to get them, right? It's one thing to understand that you need them, it's another thing to understand how you get them. Some of the reasons why agents, in my opinion, need, not kind of want or should get, but need listings and need to focus on listings is a little bit different than what a traditional um, mentor or brokerage might be telling you. So I'm going to jump into these 10 reasons, and then of course I'm going to talk about how you actually get the listings, because again, it's one thing to want them, it's another thing to get them. All right, so let's talk quickly about kind of like the typical reason, why most people say that you need listings. And the first one, you probably have heard the saying before, you have to list to last, right? And that most people who focus specifically on buyers don't last. And it's because they don't have a predictable business, right? You could sign up 5 buyers who tell you they want to buy houses tomorrow. And it's possible that all 5 of them don't buy in the next 12 months. Whereas if you signed up 5 listings, not a guarantee that all of them are going to sell, but in a low inventory market, most of them will probably sell, and they'll probably sell within a good period of time. Meaning that you work with a buyer might put off buying for a year, they could put off buying for 2 years, but they're probably going to eventually buy, but it's not predictable. Whereas a listing, especially in a low inventory market like we've been in for a while, you're probably going to get paid in the next 30 to 90 days. Okay, so that's kind of the tried and true reason, the reason that probably every broker that you've ever worked for or every mentor that you've ever talked to says that you want to go after listings. But I'm going to give you guys 10 other reasons why I think that it's more of a need and not necessarily a want. And again, why are we here? Why do you listen to my show? Well, you want to get off the real estate roller coaster by using investing, by spending your time the right way. You want to wake up, like I talked to you guys, it's December 2024 as of this recording. You want to wake up on January 1st having multiple streams of income. You don't want to just rely on your sales income. All right, so then how does that tie into what are the 10 reasons why you need to get listings or need to focus on listings to get off the real estate roller coaster? Well, reason number one, and as a reason that probably no other broker or mentor has ever told you, is that by generating listing appointments and generating listing opportunities and generating listings, you are going to, by default, come across sellers that want to sell cash, that are going to provide you with the ability to flip their home. 20% of all sellers would prefer to sell to a cash home buyer rather than going through the listing process. So all that you need to know there is that for every 10 listing appointments that you get, 8 of those people are going to want to list the traditional way, but 2 of them are going to want a more easier sale process. And as you all know, we've got our agent partnership program where we will put up the money nationwide, we will do the construction, and we will split the profits with you 50-50. To learn more about that, make sure you jump on one of my weekly calls at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. But why is that important? Why should you even care about that? Well, the average fix and flip profit that we split with the agents is $80,000, meaning that your side of that split on average is going to be $40,000, which on average is 4 times what you would make by listing a house, right? So why is that important? Well, if we're talking about getting off the real estate roller coaster and you do 1 or 2 of those in a year or 3 of those in a year, you could potentially earn 6 figures a year by flipping houses just by going after listings. Again, like, why are we talking about this? We're talking about spending your time, effort, and energy focusing on getting listings rather than getting buyers. You get a buyer, there's no opportunity, or a very, very remote opportunity, that working with the buyer is going to get you a fix and flip that you can either do on your own or you can partner with us on. All right, so that's reason number one. Reason number two, why you should focus on listings instead of focusing on buyers. And again, let me just say, I'm not saying don't work with buyers. I'm saying when you wake up every day, you should be focused on getting listings. If buyers come your way, which they will, take them, work with them, do whatever you were normally going to do, but focus on getting listings. So reason number two is that if you are an agent investor and you're looking to buy assets, you're looking to buy short-term rentals, you're looking to buy multifamily, some of the best deals that I've got, some of my best rental properties I've ever gotten have come from buying the properties of people who I've been on listing appointments with. Okay. And again, 20% of all sellers are going to want to sell cash. They're going to want to sell off market, but it's actually higher when it comes to a rental. And you can imagine why. If a person has a renter in a property, it's a lot harder to put on the MLS. It's a lot more hassle. Somebody who is selling a rental property is much more likely to want to sell their property direct rather than go on the MLS. And in a lot of cases, tired landlords are ready to just sell at a price that's going to give you instant equity on day one. I'll say this again. Those first two reasons could be all the reasons that you need. But when you generate an opportunity, maybe you even focus on going after the types of properties that you would like to own. Again, regardless of what that is, whether it's a single family that you want to own and rent, a condo, whether it's a multifamily, whether it's an apartment deal. If you focus on getting seller appointments with those people, you're going to have three options on those appointments, right? The first option is you could list the house. The second option is you could flip it. And the third option is you could buy and hold it, which is why for a lot of people that I work with and that I talk to and that I mentor, one of the best strategies that you can have is to try to generate listing appointments for the types of deals that you want to own, operate, and manage over the long haul. So some of the best deals that I got for rental properties in my life have come from me marketing directly to sellers, meeting with sellers directly, and buying their houses, face to face. All right. So again, those two reasons alone should be enough to say, if all you did was focus on getting listings and focus on getting seller opportunities, seller appointments, you could fix and flip a bunch of properties, list a bunch of properties, and you could actually buy and hold a bunch of those properties. Not to mention that in some cases, you could even work out seller financing on some of those rental properties, right? So again, those two reasons alone, but let me just keep going. The third reason to focus on listings and focusing on sellers is that listings take far less time. Yeah, once in a while you'll get a buyer who's ready to go and they make an offer on one of the first properties you show them and they buy the house and there's a good inspection and you go to closing 45 to 60 days later. And as I'm saying this, I know you're all probably thinking, wait a second, I haven't had one of those in a long time. It's because they don't typically exist, right? So there are buyers who can be easy to work with and quick to work with, but on the whole, listings take far less time. Like literally, if you track your hours and you say, what is my dollar per hour that I earn working a listing and what is my dollar per hour working with the buyer, it's probably 3 to 1. You're probably making 3 times more on a listing if you calculate your time than if you work with the buyer. And I know not all people are programmed to think that way. I know that there are some people that are like, hey, I want to work with my friends. I want to work with anybody who comes my way. But if you want to excel and if you want to build wealth and if you want to get off the real estate roller coaster, you have to focus on spending your time the most efficient and effective way. And focusing on sellers and getting listings is a way to do that. All right, the fourth reason why working with sellers is better is because it's much easier to systematize a listing and even cut that time down even further with the listing than it is with the buyer. If you've ever tried, if you're trying to grow a business or you're trying to grow a team, if you've ever tried to hand off a buyer that you know to another agent, it can be really, really tough. I mean, it's an awkward conversation. I'm not saying it can't be done. It can be done, but it can be challenging. And if you hand off a buyer to another agent that's on your team, you're going to have to pay them more than if you hand off a listing. Now, compare that to a listing in terms of systemization. You can go out, you can sign a listing agreement, you can have somebody else do all the transaction coordination work. You can actually even have a buyer agent go and work that open house for you. And for the most part, you're negotiating maybe some offers, you're talking to the seller along the way, but you're able to systematize that listing a lot more, right? Get off the real estate roller coaster, right? There is far less steps, hassle, headache, and stuff that you can systematize by taking a listing. All right, number 5 reason why you'd want a listing, over working with the buyer is, and I'm going to talk about a few different ways to do this, but we call them secondary transactions, ways to earn more business, right? So let's think about like working with the buyer and working with the seller, adding open house. You have a listing, you're adding open house, buyer walks in, wants to make an offer on the property. If that buyer that walks into your open house, if they're unrepresented and they make an offer through you and that deal goes through, you've just doubled the commission that you've made for not really working many more hours, right? Now let's flip that on its head and say, let's say that you're the buyer agent walking the buyer into the open house. There is no way possible for you to double your commission, right? So a lot of the things I'm talking about right now are just showing the leverage that listings give you, the income production multiplier that listings give you, right? And those open houses, like I said, if you end up building a team, you can actually hand off some of those open houses to people that are on your team. You can make more money that way, or you can get yourself out of running them. All right. Reason number 6 that you want to focus on sellers and focus on listings over buyers is you get to put your sign in the ground. Why is that important? Well, people are going to call that sign. People are going to ask questions about that property. Some of them are going to be represented, but some of them aren't. The ones that are not represented may make an offer on that house. The ones that are not represented may decide that they want to hire you as their buyer agent. Again, another income multiplier. But even one more reason to have your sign in the ground. If you start focusing on a certain geographic area, now all of a sudden you've got multiple signs in a neighborhood. And we all know this to be true, right? No matter what neighborhood you live in the United States, there's a few agents and companies that kind of dominate. And they're all different. Like, there is no one company that dominates every market. There's no one agent that dominates every market. But if you look in specific parts of different markets, you're going to see that there are people that kind of dominate. What does that give you? Well, it gives you these come list me appointments. A come list me appointment is just essentially somebody that says, hey, like, I know you're the top dog in this area. I want you to come list my house. And those take a while to build up. But again, compare that to a buyer. Like, you don't get name recognition from working with buyers, but you do with your signs in the ground, working with listings. All right, reason number 7 that you want to work listings is you have the ability to promote them online. Now, I know, again, like, you can promote, working with a buyer. You can take a picture of, your buyer buying a home with a big key, which is like what, pretty much every agent does. And I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying that's what a lot of people do. There's something different, and there's something that gives you a little bit more power and emphasis when it's your listing, right? When you've taken a listing, right? And you're posting that on all your social media accounts. All right, reason number 8 is you actually have the ability, and you don't have to do this, but it's just another opportunity. And I'm going to screw up the statistic because I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know that every time a listing gets posted in a neighborhood, somebody else in that neighborhood within a short period of time typically sells, right? So it gives you the ability, and we used to give these to our agents, and our agents still have the ability to get them on their own if they want. But basically to go around with marketing material and door hangers and basically, knock on every door and invite everybody to that open house that you're going to be hosting. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you run a professional open house, you've got a nice sign, you're professional, and you're knocking on the door, and you can get a ton of neighbors into that property, you're going to get buyers that they're going to lose out on that house that still want to buy in that neighborhood. And if you do a good job, you're going to impress some of those sellers that come to the open house, or they don't even have to come to the open house. Maybe they got your door hanger. Maybe you just knocked on their door and you met them. But at some point in the near future, another one of those sellers is going to sell. By doing what I just said, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to get another listing, but you very well could get another listing by doing that. All right, reason number 9, why agents need to work sellers and want listings and should want listings is the ability to generate online leads from listings. Now, there are a number of programs that do this. The one that comes to mind, and there's a million of them that we've used, is called Listings to Leads. For whatever reason, when you have a house to sell and you put a certain number of photos up and you basically say, hey, click here to find out the address, or click here for more information, tons of people fill out those forms. They are some of the cheapest leads that you'll ever get. I remember we were getting them. I haven't personally run this in a while because I'm not trying to generate buyer leads. But when I think we were getting leads for about $1 a lead. So you run $100 or $200 campaign on every listing that you have, you could get 100 or 200 leads. Now, again, I don't want to be clear here. You're not going to get 100 or 200 buyers. You're going to get a lot of people that are just, curious about that property. But you put those 100 or 200 leads into your back-end website system. You can see who's logging in every day, who's looking for properties. You're going to get their phone numbers. You're going to get their email addresses. And now you've generated more opportunities. Again, one of the number one reasons why listings are so powerful is they're going to generate you more money. They're going to generate this multiplier for you. All right. And the last reason why I think every agent needs to focus on listings, not should, but needs to, is what is going on with the NAR settlement and buyer agent commissions. Now, I cannot tell you, I cannot predict the future. I can't, I have my thoughts. I do think, I'll say I think, I don't know. I do think that buyer agent commissions are going to get chopped down over time. How long that takes to happen, how deep the cut is, etc., I don't know. It might take a while. It could happen, somewhat rapidly. But I will tell you that the perspective of most buyers in the market, this is not me talking, this is the perspective of most buyers. The perspective of most buyers in the market are that they do most of the work. They find the properties on whatever website portal they're on, Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, etc. They know when they want to see the house. They tell their agent when they want to get out there, or sometimes they just go to the open houses themselves. They feel like they're driving the bus and they're doing a lot of the work. And they don't see, in general, a ton of value. Now, you can argue that agents do a lot. They do. I'm a broker. I've got 400 agents. Agents do a lot when it comes to working with buyers. It can be a very thankless, job. But the perspective of the buyer is that agents don't really do a lot. Why I'm saying that is that there is not going to be this massive push by the consumer to pay agents, period. There's not. In fact, a lot of consumers would be very happy to get a rebate or very happy to pay a little bit less for a house, maybe to get a company or a service that kind of helps them through the process that's not an agent. So I'm not making predictions here, but what I am saying, and I always talk about with Agent Investor, is as an agent, you want to diversify your income, right? You want to generate buyer and seller opportunities. You want to fix and flip houses for big chunks of income, and you want to own assets that pay you every single month. If you do that, and then all of a sudden buyer commissions go down, or the market slows down, or you have a bad year selling houses, you're still going to thrive, right? Your net worth is still going to grow. Your cash flow every month is still going to be there. So those are the 10 reasons that, somewhat surprising, some that you may have never heard, some you may have heard, but I guarantee some that you haven't heard on why agents need to focus on sellers. So I think that, if you've gotten this far and you've listened, whether you agree with all 10 of my reasons or not, I think you would likely agree, yeah, I would much rather have, 2 seller appointments a week rather than 2 buyer appointments a week. So the question then becomes like, how do we actually do it? Now, I'm going to stop here for a second and just let all of you know, I am going to talk about this right now, but I want to let you know that I go into much more detail on this every single week. You guys can always jump on my call at www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. So if you leave, this recording feeling like I want more, I want to know how to generate those seller opportunities, and I want more detail, make sure that you jump on my live call. It is a live call. Like as you are listening to this right now, this isn't live. If you have questions, well, too bad. You can't ask them, right? You just can't. I wish there was a way we could miraculously do that. But on my live call every week, the people who are on my call, I usually get 15, 20, 30 people on my call every single week, have the ability to ask as many questions as they want. And in fact, I always start out my weekly live call by saying that I am not going to jump off this call until everybody asks every question that they have and until I answer it. Whether the call takes a half an hour, 40 minutes, or 10 hours, I will stay on that call. So with that being said, www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com, book a time and jump on that call. So let's talk though briefly about how you actually get, these seller appointments, because that's what you need, right? When we talk about listings, we need seller appointments. We need meetings with sellers in their home. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing, and I find this, to be the most obvious when I talk to agents. Again, I have over 400 agents in my brokerage. And when I talk to agents, whether at my brokerage or whether I'm talking to agents that are on my weekly call, most agents that I talk to are not focused on getting seller appointments every week. They're not. They don't have any plan in order to get a seller appointment a week, right? They have no plan. And they are not focused every day on doing it. So, my thing is, and I've said this since I've been in business 20 years, if you are a real estate agent and you are not waking up every day trying to get a listing appointment, trying to get a seller appointment, like what other use of your time is more important? There is none. You can't argue that for me. It's not even close. If all you did every week was to get one seller appointment a week, you would have a successful listing business. You would generate fix and flip opportunities. You would generate long-term buy and hold opportunities. If that's all you did was get one a week, yet most agents have zero focus, zero plan on how to generate listing opportunities. I'm not sure why. I hope to kind of change that. I hope that you guys follow me. It's a lot of what I talk about. But every single day, there needs to be some time spent to get a seller appointment. Does it need to be 8 to 10 hours a day? No. If you spent 2 hours a day, 5 days a week trying to get a seller appointment, you'd get 1 to 2 seller appointments a week, period. Right? So it starts with that. Like, I can give you all of the ways that you can get a seller appointment until I'm blue in the face, but until you commit to 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week, spending at least a couple hours a day to generate a seller appointment, like, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. And all your business is going to be is the real estate roller coaster. Why are you on the real estate roller coaster? Probably because what is coming to you. If you get a listing appointment, great. If you get a buyer opportunity, great. But you're taking what is coming to you rather than driving what you get in your business. I'm going to say that again. Like, in most cases, most real estate agents are taking what comes to them, whatever that is. That could be a buyer 2 hours away. That could be an overpriced listing. That could be whatever. There's no focus every single week on trying to actually build the business that you need. So how do you do that? Well, first and foremost, you need to set goals and you need to look at your numbers every single week. Now, I don't care what your goals are. Every goal could be different. Like, my company personally sets over 100 seller appointments a week. It's typically between 100 and 150 seller appointments a week. I report that number into a software called Bloom Growth every single week, and me and my team look at it every single week. And if we don't hit 100 seller appointments a week, we're saying why? Because that's the most important driver of everything that we do in our business, okay? So you need to do something similar. It doesn't need to be 1 appointment a week. It could be 1 appointment a month. It could be 2 appointments a month. It could be 2 appointments a week. But you kind of need to set your goal, right, of how many appointments per week you're going to generate. Once you do that, the next thing that you need to think about is actually what is the mechanism through which you are going to drive seller appointments. So for all of you that are on here, you've probably generated a seller appointment in the past. You probably generate a certain number of seller appointments in a year with already doing what you're doing. Let's say that that's 12 seller appointments in a year, right? That's probably maybe a good average for a real estate agent, just doing whatever you're doing. So the question becomes, like, how do you then add the additional? If you want to do 2 a month, now you've got to add another 12 per month. Or if you want to do 1 per week, now you've got to add another 36 per month. I'm sorry, another 36 per year, another 3 per month. So again, you've committed to the idea of doing it. You've set your goal. And now how do you actually get it? How you actually get it is going to be dependent on your personality and what you're willing to do every single day. And I always talk about this. It's like, do you want to spend time or money is one of the first conversations. If you want to spend money, you can do things like Facebook ads and Google pay-per-click and home valuation leads and mailers and stuff like that, right? So if you have money to spend, then you spend the money. However, if you have time, let's say you don't want to spend the money or you don't have the money to spend, now you've got to spend time. And I'm going to talk just really quickly about kind of like the most common, ways to generate seller opportunities that are time-based. The first thing is your sphere. Most people do not do a good job. They don't have a plan to contact their sphere. They don't even have a database, right? So again, I can't go into that. This would be a full presentation on how to work your sphere. But let's say it's sphere that you're going to do. You need to have a way to communicate with your sphere, 10, 12 times a year. And then you've got to have a way to add people to your sphere every single week, right? So what would you do in that case? Like, if you're trying to build your sphere, you'd have some sort of goal of how many new people you're meeting and talking to, new people that you're meeting and talking to and adding to your database every single week, right? That's one way to do it. The second way is social media. And I think that you guys, if you follow me at Tommy Caffarella, you'll see, like, I've got, I think, 8,200, 8,300 people that follow me. That's not an accident. I add people every single day to my Facebook account. You'll see I post multiple times a day on my Facebook account. I look at most agent social media profiles, And I know they're not generating any leads that way. In fact, most agents that I look and I scroll through their account, they have less than 1,000 connections on Facebook, and they hardly ever post on Facebook, right? So, that's another way. I'm not telling you that social media has to be the way, but social media can be a way. Then you have like all the prospecting methods. You have calling, you have texting, you have door knocking, right? Some people have no issue doing that every single day. Some people would rather quit the business than do that every single day. So if you are interested in prospecting, again, there's metrics that you need, there's lists that you need to call, there's doors you need to knock and all that good stuff. And there's a lot of great reasons to pound the pavement and do it. And that's another way to do it. And the last way, that's certainly the easiest way to do this, is to be a part of my seller team. And I've, if you follow me recently in the last couple months, I started to build this seller team. But the long and short of it is, if somebody's a part of my seller team, they get a guarantee of 1 seller appointment per week. We actually carve out when we book the appointments, when we generate the appointments, when we spend marketing dollars to get our appointments, we carve out the ones that are retail and we give those to agents that are in our seller team. It's a way to kind of shortcut, everything that I just mentioned. Now, I would never say ever to completely rely on myself and my team to generate seller opportunities. I would never rely on any one thing. Remember, Agent Investor is all about diversification of income. But if you're looking to add a seller appointment a week, right, and you want to learn more about joining my seller group, you can go to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. And every week I go into detail about exactly what that looks like, the qualifications, what it means to work with me directly, etc. Again, you can go to www.partnerwithagentinvestor.com. So high level, we know, we need to generate seller opportunities. Seller opportunities give us a magnifier of income. It also gives us the ability to get fix and flip deals that you can do on your own or partner with me that are going to get you big chunks of income, hopefully 40 grand plus at a time. And generating seller opportunities is also going to get you in front of people selling passive assets that you could own, operate, and buy on your own. But again, what I see most often is that most people don't wake up every day trying to generate seller opportunities. It's the number one thing. I just don't see it, right? If you are waking up every single day trying to generate seller opportunities, you are going to win. Even if you don't have a ton of success in the first week or 2 weeks, make sure that you jump on my call. We can talk through what you might be doing right, what you might be doing wrong. But I can tell you again, if this is all you did, if you want to build wealth, you want to get off the real estate roller coaster, if all you did was focus most of your time or a good chunk of time every single day on generating seller opportunities, you will make it. You will make it. But it starts with the mind shift that you're going to do it. It starts with the mind shift that you're going to do it, and you're going to do it every single day. So I hope that this all resonated with everybody. I'm happy to talk to people in more depth about different strategies or anything that I mentioned on this call. Just jump on my next live call at www.partner